Greetings. Hello. Mm. Beautiful to see faces together, faces on their own. Wow, so majestic. Welcome.
Welcome as you flock in. Welcome to the ones who were here yesterday and to the new ones. Welcome to the joy. Welcome back. Welcome to the trees. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Well, it's a delight to have you here today again. Or if it's the first time, it's a delight to have you here today as we are tuning in with the fourth webinar called Tending the Sacred. Aho to that. May we learn, may we open ourselves even more to tending the sacred. Yeah. And open even more the gates to soulful living beauty. So I know that for the ones who are tuning in today, maybe it's a holiday. It's a very holy holiday. Maybe not, I don't know. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making a clearing, a space, following your longing, being present, showing up. It matters. It really matters.
Mm. And a bit of orientation here. If you haven't joined us before, this is the number 4 of a series of 4 webinars on soulful living, crisis, and call. And so far we have looked at, crisis. We have looked at how soul speaks to us and desperately tries to reach out to us and long for us through crises in our life, as well as through those magical moments of calling. And today we're looking at, putting it all together, and what living might look like once we recognize that every single thing we live is an expression of soul, and we say yes to it. And for those who don't know us, my name is Lucy Klein. I'm a soul initiation guide, and I will go as my soul name here in this work, so you may call me Moonlight Pearl.
Yes. And my name is Helen Kyle, and I'm a human development guide, and I am, here you can call me Siren Priestess or Siren or Priestess. And did we say that we are actually in a framework of a project which is called the Road to Soul, which is funded by the European Union? So to give our gratitude to those ones who give funds for these meaningful, soulful projects, life-changing, culture-changing projects. I mean, that's how we see it. Hopefully, hopefully it does. And let us maybe now shift to entering more what's the word? More closely to the sacred, as we are inviting you to turn to your candle. If you have a candle, turn to the candle. If you don't have a tangible candle, then use your imagination candle. As we want to invite fire to be here in our company. And when we say fire, we mean the elements And when we say the elements, we mean the wildness. And when we speak of wildness, we also mean soul. So all these we're inviting by lighting our candle. And let us offer a dedication. Today, we want to dedicate this webinar to the journey of life, to our specific, to our unique, our individual journey of life, and all the beings who play a part in it, who are maybe visible or invisible, but they play a role in this path of our life, in the journey of our life. In other words, on our path to soul. So let's light the candle all together. And let's send our gratitude and trust that we are guided in this life journey, in this path to soul. And as you have your candle lit, I'm inviting you to gaze at the fire for a few seconds and take some deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Maybe even exhaling with a sigh. Perhaps, um, perhaps feeling that we are held no matter what is happening in our life right now. We are held and we are guided, and that we are on the right path, and that life journey has us, has got us. Mm. 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 I hope we will remember that. Tradition has it that usually after lighting the candle, we tell a poem. Here we have something almost a poem. But before going there, I want to check with Moonlight if there's something that you want to share, Moonlight, before we head there. Okay. So today, instead of a poem, no worries, there will be poems today, but instead of a poem, we have a short story to tell you. It's so short that it's almost an anecdote, almost a joke, that short of a story. And when we say story, this one is an old story. It's not one that just emerged. It has been crafted over the centuries from from many, maybe thousands of storytellers until this story has come to us. We got the story from Michael Mead, and yeah, gratitude to that one, this elder who also brings transformation into the world, but also all the previous storytellers who told this story again and again, and it has traveled over the distance and over the centuries to come here with a particular message for each one of us. So let us welcome the story and let us be open to the story as she is hungry for us. The story starts in a room, in a bedroom where there is a bed, and on the bed there is Rabbi Zushia. He was a rabbi his whole life, and around him he has his students, his followers. Rabbi Zushia is on his deathbed, and he had lived a long life, a holy life, um, a life dedicated to God, uh, dedicated to the teachings of the prophets, a whole life um, of almost a saint, a life of sincerity, a life of humbleness. That's why he was so loved, and that's why so many students are around him in his deathbed. And one of those students asks Rabbi Zushia, Rabbi Zushia, you're on your last moments. How do you feel in front of the gates of death? And Rabbi Zushia says something like, I'm terribly scared. I'm really scared. And the students are surprised and shocked and say, how can he be scared? And they ask him, I mean, Rabbi Zushia, how can you be scared? You have lived such a humble life. You have showed the courage of Abraham and the vision of Moses and the leadership of Jacob, and you have had all the competences of all the prophets. How can you say you're scared in front of death at the gates? And Rabbi responds saying, well, I'm not scared. If God asks me, Zushia, why weren't you more like Jacob? I'm not scared if God asks me, Zushia, why weren't you more like Moses or Abraham? I know what to tell them then. I can tell them that I didn't have their charismas and their gifts. But if God asks me, Zushia, why were you not more like Zushia? Then I don't know what to tell him. With these words, Rabbi Zushia exhales his last breath and crosses the threshold to the world of ancestors, leaving us as a heritage this story. Yeah, that's the story. Hmm. Mm. I'm letting few seconds, few breaths here. We are still alive. We still have breath. I like to say that breath is opportunity. So let this story work us. I'm not scared. If God asks me, why weren't you more like Abraham or Moses or Jacob? I'm really scared. If God asks me, Zushia, why weren't you more like Zushia? I feel this line piercing me. I feel this line punching me. Maybe you feel the same. And the and the story, ironically, this story and this question comes from a person who was a holy person who dedicated his whole life to something beyond himself. But he didn't obviously walk his own path. He was walking a holy path, but not his holy path to divine. He was walking on the road someone else opened. Moses or Jacob or Abraham. And on these last few breaths, maybe his soul, Zushia's soul, hit him. And through his heat, maybe it could be that this phrase that he offered was his gift to the world, his true gift to the world, his soul gift to the world. Yeah. So here we are, tending the sacred, starting with a story of a man who has tended the sacred but has not tended his soul sacredness. And here we are, opening today the gates of how to tend the soul's sacredness, how to be in that place where soul is at the center of life.
How do we lead a life where soul is at the center? Meaning, how do we lead a life where our own uniqueness, our own reason for being, for existing, is at the center of who we are? Where maybe the main task is less about who we would like to become, who we strive to become. I'm thinking about those questions that we ask kids. You know, what would you like to become when you grow up? When you grow up. And maybe it's less about becoming someone, maybe like Rabbi, perhaps striving his whole life to become more like Abraham, to become more like Solomon. But what if it was less about becoming and more about belonging, more about falling in place, more about shedding and stripping all these things that we tend to add and accumulate as we are invited to grow up in life. As we have seen in the previous webinars, we explored the question of crises in life and callings, dreams, imaginations, visions, attractions, being so many moments where soul, our uniqueness, our unique gifts, is trying to call us back to being, not doing, but being who we truly are uniquely, so that we can incarnate our own, express and incarnate our unique gift, so we can be the unique expression of life, of earth, of the divine. You can add words to that list. But so we can be that one specific way where life knows itself, in a way that if we're not this, life will not know itself through this specific way, because no one else will do it. And so that makes me wonder if this whole path of accepting crises and calls as callings of soul, whether that's more of a path of shedding and unlearning and unknowing all these aspirations of becoming someone, whether it's more about remembering and remembering, coming back to our membrane that carries the vision of us. And whether in the end, it's perhaps more about growing down deeper in our roots. It's not about growing up, but growing down belonging more, connecting more, and shedding and simplifying. Wondering what life looks like when we start to see everything that happens to us as an opportunity to do that, to lower our center of gravity, to become more grounded into the web of life, to take our place more. This sacred seat, this one seat that is here for each of us, to learn to actually take that seat more and more, sinking more into it, rising in it. So growing down rather than growing up. I know that's what I'm hoping humbly to guide my daughter in, to grow down rather than to grow up.
Yes. As I was listening to you now, Moonlight, I had this vision of people climbing on Everest mountain top. And I hear that they are becoming more and more those ones who want to travel there. As if they're, and when I hear that, I see the longing of people to meet their soul and how far or how high they are, ready to go train. I mean, some of them are training to go far, higher, more, I don't know, like, yeah, like there is a scale of more, doing more, going further, achieving more. And Moonlight spoke about how the journey is actually down. And I would like to say that the journey is actually back, and the journey is actually inwards. Inwards. That's where the true wildness is, when we go inwards. Amazingly wildness when we go in our psychic landscapes, to the seed that lays in that closed shell of our unique seed in the world. So it's a growing down journey, it's a rooting down, it's a grounding one, and it's an inwards one. And I think and I feel that the culture we live in does not encourage that kind of journey that goes down or deep or in, that actually makes one more empty than more equipped. So yeah, that's where soul is. That's where our soul lives, in the depths of our inner landscapes. And that's how we need to make space available and shift our consciousness sometimes inwards other than outwards. Yeah.
And as I hear that, I'm thinking that there are people who live that truth, and their expression of living this truth can be to retire from the world, to withdraw from the world, from the flesh even, and from the body. And the list is long again of all the things we can withdraw from. But again, if the journey is about belonging more to this life, then how do we do that while withdrawing? And so I am rather wondering whether it's not me. Again, it's Bill Plotkin who brought that idea. that if we live life rooted in this belief, in this faith that everything that happens is soul reaching out to us until we finally say yes, and then especially when we start saying yes, then she'll reach out even more, and she'll continue shape-shifting us, rewilding us even more. If we do that, then life becomes this constant sacred conversation where every so-called problem, every so-called crisis, every so-called dream of the night, every encounter, everything that happens to us, well, exactly, maybe it doesn't happen to us as in something that we undergo, that we're the victim of, but maybe it is soul speaking. And then the talking stick comes to us, we respond. And what if we lived life saying yes to every single one of those experiences? What if we saw all the happenings of life as opportunities to incarnate more of us, more of our soul, more of who we already are, and therefore shed probably everything that's in the way gradually? Um, hmm. So life this way becomes this conversation. I receive, I listen, I value, and then I respond through my action, through communication. And I live life a bit like in our culture, we've kind of relinquished that to childhood, as if everything was alive, as if everything was aware, everything and everyone had consciousness. Animals, plants, people, objects, events, everything is aware of me and everything speaks to me. Not in an ego-centered way, but in a everything is aware of my uniqueness and everything needs my uniqueness. Everything is aware of me. What if I spoke back? And what if in so doing, I was feeding all these beings because I am finally taking my place in the web of life. I am finally offering my gifts. So again, maybe shifting from the paradigm of offering our gifts is less about becoming, reaching something, learning to become Abraham and then help people, but more about reconnecting, relearning, unlearning, and remembering our own unique soul identity and live from there. I'm thinking about the bee in our wild lands, the bee whose most essential gift, vital gift in the ecology is to come and pollinate. There are plants that cannot survive, well, pretty much all plants, but there are plants that are pollinated only by bees, no other pollinator. Without the bee, those plants would die. So the web of life directly depends on the bee, but the bee is not thinking, let me save the life of those flowers. The bee is just doing what she does. She's eating, she's drinking, she's allowing the soft sweetness of her to delight in the nectar of the flowers. So in just being fully herself, she's actually serving the whole of the ecology. She's not trying to be anything she's not. She's actually just being as much of her as she is. So we'd love to dwell more in this session on this idea that life being a conversation with soul and with the wild. It's never off. It's never, now it's soul work and now it's not. It's constant conversation, constant invitation to shed and reconnect. Mm. Well, there's a poem we'd love to offer you now. Actually quite connected with bees and nectar and flower, but that really speaks about this choice. It really is a choice that we make to see life in this way and to live life in this way. So I'm inviting you to just move your body a little bit. Just put yourself in the position that makes you the most receptive to a short poem. You may want to stand, you may want to sit, you may want to lie down. It's short. You may want to close or open your eyes. Whatever works for you. Mm. Mm-hmm. So you may have heard it before, but I found that this poem always finds me in a new way. This is called I Will Not Die an Unlived Life by Donna Markova. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. I will not die an unlived life. Did the rabbi live an unlived life? I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible. I choose to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. So the choice and the responsibility. There's an experience we'd like to offer you now. And I just want to check if the siren has something to say before. Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, I am going to invite you into what is known as a deep imagination journey. So it will be a journey in which I'm inviting you to close your eyes and be guided on an imagination that I will guide you through. There'll be the sound of the drum in the background with us, supporting us. I'm inviting you again to know what your body and your active imagination need, whether it's lying down or sitting. Some people love to stand and even move throughout the journey. So that's also possible. And whatever position you choose now, you may change it at any time. So I'm going to take you through this journey. And if you've never had a deep imagination before, know that I'm going to guide you through a journey. And the story that is yours to live today through this can manifest itself in very different ways. Some people actually see images in their closed eyes. Some people have physical sensations. Some people have emotions, some people hear. And it could be none of that, and just letting yourself be carried, and your night dreams might bring you back something tonight. So I'm just really inviting you to let go and be actively present with the journey. Okay, it's just giving you a few more moments to settle. And I'm just going to check with you. Can you all hear my voice and the drum? Maybe just a thumbs up from you would be useful if that's the case. Yep. Okay. Great. So as the drum is coming to meet us, I'm inviting you to close your eyes. Turn your attention inwards. Take a deep breath. And letting it out. Take another breath, and as you do that, really shifting your consciousness to the inner body. Maybe seeing if you need to move your body in any way. I like to sway my hips a little bit, my shoulders. And feeling the support of whatever you are sitting or lying on. And with every breath, sinking deeper into that which is supporting you. And another deep breath, as if you were going down into the staircase of you. And checking that your body is fluid, not stuck. And with the next breath, I'm inviting you to imagine your feet barefooted on the grass. On the grass in the evening, just as the sun sets. There's grass all around, and perhaps the grass is already a bit wet. You can hear the last insects. The bird songs have already stopped. It's this moment of stillness before night and after day, this portal where the veil is thinner. I'm inviting you to breathe into the moist, soft air of this mid-August as the sun sets further and a bit of darkness starts to settle in. Feeling your feet on the grass and feeling there in your heart, feeling into your longing. Feeling into your longing to embody who you have come to be. Your longing to be fully alive, fully you. Your longing to meet your soul. Perhaps you're longing to feel guided and supported on this journey. Feeling into what it's like for you to live this longing. Is there fear? Is there disorientation? Is there excitement? Is there despair? I'm breathing. And noticing as you welcome those emotions that the night has settled around you, and in the distance, in the far distance, owl calls to you. Yeah, the night has settled. And you may feel the night like a coat wrapping herself around your shoulders. And inviting you to walk now through the night until the entrance of a forest. Walking through that forest, entering this dark forest, hearing the owls, the last of the blackbirds, perhaps a nightingale. Feeling as if in your heart there was a torch, the torch of your longing. And in front of you, there is the biggest, oldest, thickest tree, oak tree you might have ever seen. Its roots are this gnarly, long network web of arms and legs reaching out to you for meters and meters and meters. It looks like this oak tree belongs to the night. Or does the night belong to the oak tree? And you may come close to the oak tree and ask permission to lay your hand upon its trunk. And feel the life of the sap and of all that lives underground, and all the mycelium, all the mushroom, all the other trees. Feel all of life pulsing in that trunk under your hand. Feel the music it is in harmony with your breath. There might be a touch of moonlight just coming through the branch. And notice a hollow in the middle of the tree. That looks like a door. A hole that looks like a door that's been waiting for you, and that creaks open slightly with every breath you take. Taking a deep breath, you know it's time to walk in. It's time to go through this door. You walk in. All is dark inside, all is wet. All is ebony dark. In front of you, there is a narrow staircase, a spiral. It looks like the spirals that you could see on ferns. It looks like it goes down in a never-ending way. A few torch lights every now and then on the sides. And you start walking down. You start walking down this spirally staircase. Maybe accompanied by some beings here, guardians of this portal. Spider might be here on your left. You might still hear the owl in the distance. Maybe a dog barking. And you walk down and down. It feels like you're walking to the center of the earth. And to your surprise, this staircase does end. And you arrive. You arrive in a small cave. It is so small, but it feels like it was made for you. There is that specific light that you have seen in your dreams before. And in the heart of this cave, there is a pool of water. You might have seen this pool before. She has been calling you since before your birth. And you kneel in front of this pool. You know that this pool is the doorway to all that is most true about you, to all that is most true about your life and about life on earth. And you may want to anoint yourself with the water of this pool. So taking some water, like holy water, on your hands, on your eyes, on your hearts, bringing life, bringing the life of deep earth in whatever parts of your body you feel need to listen more, need to connect more. It might mean you go into the pool straight away. And from the pool, a being arises. Someone is here and has been waiting for you. Someone who has been waiting to guide you to your soul. They're here, right in front of you, finally. What do they look like? Do they have claws? Do they have wings? Do they have hats? What color is their skin or fur or gills? This one was born when you were born. And this one has been reaching out to you your whole life. If you look deep into their eyes, you recognize them. Let yourself be surprised. They may be part animal, part plant, part human, who knows? Find a way to greet them. To say hello. And this one responds to you. Hello. I I've been by your side all along. Hello. And this one might have a gift for you, might have something to hand over to you, to give you. What is it? They stretch their hand out to you, and there's a gift for you there. And it is something that will help you on the journey of soul. Take some time to be with that gift. And you may have a question to ask to your guide. Let it be a question that doesn't arise from your mind, but from your deepest of heart. What is the question you have been burning to ask? The most important question that animates you now. Feel what it's like to ask the question and wait to see if there is an answer. Or maybe the guide has something to show you, to tell you. In the distance, you can hear the owl calling from above again. As it is time to slowly part ways for now. So maybe there's a way to make an agreement with this guide, to ask for this guide to be with you along the way, to no longer hide. And find the way of sealing this agreement and offering gratitude. You can hear the owl calling again. And it is time to leave the pool, to wave goodbye to your guide. And slowly walk up the spiral staircase, slowly, slowly. Within your heart, the images burning of your guide, of the gifts, the questions, as you walk up and up and up, all the way to the top, where you're again in front of the hall in the oak tree, the doorway. And if you're ready with a deep breath of gratitude, it's time to step out. And there you feel it again, the moist of the night, the dark forest around you, the roots of the gnarly oak. Making your way with your bare foot on the wet grass in the dark of the night. It's time to come back. slowly walking through the forest and out of the forest. There you are, where you were before, but something has changed. There on the grass with the dark night sky around you. Taking a deep breath, feeling into the encounter that you've had. And slowly feeling into your feet again and into your hands, into your breaths. You may want to wriggle your hands a little bit. You may want to wriggle your feet. Slowly come back to the room that you're in. Moving very slowly, yet coming back. As the drum leaves you, I'm inviting you to find your way to paper and pen, pencils, colors, moving very softly. And there's a little bit of time for you now before we regather in this circle, for you to draw, make a first sketch of what you have lived, of what you have seen. Mostly this guide, the face of this guide or the body of this guide. To really commit it to memory. And it's not about drawing skills, it's just about you remembering it on this side of the veil. So a few minutes now to draw what's most important. The guide, perhaps a gift, a vision, the questions you asked, the responses you got, the pull. It's a bit of time now. A bit of soft music to support you. I'll just have a few minutes. just a tiny bit more time to finish what you're doing. Make any notes you need to make to come back to it. And when you're ready, I'm inviting you to come back to this screen. Yeah, you might want to come back to your drawing after the session or tonight to complete it, to make it evolve. It's really important to let yourself be surprised. So you may have had a guide to soul before. You may have met this one again. Personally, I think the journey is such a deep one that would welcome any kind of guide that comes. And maybe they have specific qualities for you. So there is an invitation we'd like to give you. It's whenever you're ready to do it. The invitation is perhaps to do it in the next week, perhaps, or week or so. But if you're not ready, then it's later. And if you're not ready at all, then it's not. There is an invitation to ceremonially say yes to this guide to soul. Someone has presented themselves to you saying, hey, I'm here to guide you on the journey. Someone has stretched their hand out to you. Now it's, will you take it? They're not going to force you into anything. So the invitation is to, when you're ready, to find a way to have what we call a personal ceremony. It could be out on the land, so in your garden, on a beach, in a forest, whatever expression of the wild land you have access to. And let your imagination go wild. Or maybe there are things that happened in the journey that you may want to reenact. Maybe you want to find somewhere that has a pool. Like David White's poem where he says yes to an image on the pool as a vow. Or maybe you want to find this gnarly big tree, the oak tree. Maybe you want to have a fire. Only you know the setting. What's most important is you find a way to communicate ceremonially with a symbolic gesture. To communicate, yes, I've heard you. Thank you for showing up. I'm ready to follow you and I'm ready to say yes to whatever you will take me through. Sometimes a saying yes ceremony can imply wearing something or taking an object with you, putting it in your pocket or in your bedroom. Sometimes it's about burying something or planting something. Yeah, so find a symbolic way to say yes to your guide to soul. That's our first invitation. We've got a few for you. And here's the second one.
May I go back to the first one to say, make it with a voice too. That is not only the symbol, but use your voice as well. It matters when we speak out loud. It matters because we're heard. And when we do everything with a closed mouth and in our imagination, which is great, but it takes this loud I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I will. Um, for let's say marriage to happen. So just giving this additional possibility.
Yeah.
And there comes the second invitation, but for this invitation, we want to make a preamble with a poem, which is called Clearing. We also read another poem yesterday called Clearing. This one is written by Morgan Farley, and this one speaks about something else. Here it is, clearing. I am clearing a space here where the trees stand back. I am making a circle so open the moon will fall in love. Listen to this. I am making a circle so open the moon will fall in love and stroke these grasses with her silver. I am setting stones in the 4 directions, stones that have called my name from mountain tops and riverbeds, canyons and mesas. Imagine that. I am setting stones in the 4 directions, stones that have called my name from mountain tops and riverbeds, canyons and mesas. Here I will stand with hands empty, mind gaping under the moon. I know there is another way to live. I know there is another way to live. When I find it, the angels will cry out in rapture. Each cell of my body will be a rose, a star. I know there is another way to live. When I find it, the angels will cry out in rapture. Each cell of my body will be a rose, a star. If something seized my life tonight, if a sudden wind swept through me, changing everything, I would not resist. I am ready for whatever comes. But I think it will be something small. An animal padding out from the shadows, or a word spoken so softly I hear it inside. It is dark outside and cold. The moon is stone. I am alone with my longing. Nothing is happening but the next breath. Mm. So, with this bridge of the poem, we're offering you the second invitation, which is to make an altar to your devotion to soul, to your dedication to soul, to your longing to the soul. An altar, maybe as wide as the moon, as the poem says. Maybe you will want to set stones in the 4 directions, just like the poem says, stones that called your name, or maybe other beings that called your name, beings that they called your name when you were wandering in the land. In other words, put on this circle, on this altar, sacred objects that call your name, that bring you back to who you are, the one you know so far. And yet, oops, my candle is, oops, dripping on the floor. Maybe you put a candle on the altar and you visit it, and then the candle spreads all over. but especially since this altar is about your devotion to soul and your longing to soul and your courtship with soul, let there be placed offerings, um, offerings that come in two kinds of form. Um, Symbols of your clearing, of your making space, things you offer so that you are more available, more empty for soul to come, but also sacred, symbolic gifts to soul so that you lure her to come more, to find you more easily. Maybe it's a necklace that you really loved and you want to offer it to her. Maybe, I don't know, it's a notebook filled with your agendas that you want to offer and say, well, I had enough of agenda making. I'm making space in my life and I'm offering that space to you, soul, to you, so that I am more devoted, more dedicated, more in touch with my longing for you. And maybe you want to visit it every day or every night and be open and hear and call soul, hear from soul, or just show up and say, I'm here again, waiting, making clearing for something small to happen.
You may want to place the image of your guide on this altar as well. And you may want to tell soul what is on the altar of you. What are you ready to give up, to let go of if soul asked? If your guide showed you to relationships, positions, places, roles, things that need to be transformed, given up, offered up for your soul journey to root deeper in you, would you say yes to it? So you may want to signify on the altar, what are you ready to say yes to change, to let go of? That's what an altar is, the place where we offer up. And the invitation is to really make a special moment out of making this altar. And then returning to this altar can be your own way of bringing boundaried, soulful time in your life every day, or every week, or every moon. So saying yes to your guide and making an altar to your dedication. And then we also have just a few droplets of invitations on, well, suggestions on how to live life, daily life, in a daily conversation with soul. So things that can be added, brought into your daily life to bring the consciousness shifting presence of soul. Not just in programs and webinars and rituals, but every day. So one thing could be dream journaling. Every morning, first thing you do is to write down the dream that you've had. Writing it down in the present tense as if it's happening right now to you. Giving it a title. And there's a lot in soul work that can be done with dreams. But so that it's not overwhelming right now, the invitation really is just to commit, which is not easy, to commit to writing down the dream every day. And then you may want to come back to it during the day, reading it again, being surprised at what you wrote. You may also want to write how the dream is making you feel. And that's a way of continuing to invite the conversation with soul that happens at night into your day.
Yes. Without trying to interpretate a dream, just being with a dream. It's not about going on Google and saying, "Oh, I saw an owl in my dream. What does it mean?" No, um, just being with the owl, being curious, being open, um, and being patient. Because symbolically, it will unravel in your life. Being patient. But here is another invitation. We're inviting you into wild wonders, into the wild, wandering into the wild lands. We are inviting you to go out into semi-wild or wild landscapes and cross a threshold. And by crossing the threshold, we're inviting you to tune in to the extraordinary world where everything is animated. Well, everything is animated the whole time. But when we cross the threshold, we are available for the animated world, for the speech of the oak tree and the olive tree, for the messages um, and the callings of the lizard and the snake and the raindrop and so on. And we're inviting you into sacred conversations, wild conversations, being in conversation with these wild beings outside. To be open to what they have to say, but also for you to speak to them back or to initiate a conversation with them, because you felt a conversation already starting in your physical body or in your emotional body or in your psychic body. So wild conversations while wandering in a land. Another way to name these wild conversations is conversations across species, because we're communicating with other species other than human that don't speak a human language, that speak maybe a divine language or a soul language or a sacred language. Yeah.
And the last practice is one that we have touched on earlier, and it's the art of personal ceremony. So we invited you to do that as a saying yes ceremony to your guide to soul. But there might be other things you're ready to communicate. Things coming from your dreams, from your wild wanderings. There might be really important threshold-like promises, commitments, acts of letting go that you're ready now to communicate and be witnessed for. And that warrants a ceremony. And a ceremony can be very simple. It needs a beginning and an end as consciousness shifters. It could be a bit of sage or lighting a candle or wearing something special or singing, something that marks that you are entering the extraordinary, the non-ordinary world. And then in the middle, there's the communication. And the invitation of a personal ceremony is to communicate what you are communicating in the fullest way possible. So it may be with your body, with your voice, again with a symbol. It can be with all of them at the same time. It's how much can you give yourself fully to the communication, to saying, I am ready to shed this way of behaving. I am ready to commit to that. I am saying yes to the Black Panther that I saw in my dream. I am saying goodbye and thank you to the addict of me. There are so many things that are yeah, turning points of our soul journey that need to be communicated. And then always make a little bit of space for a possible immediate response that might come in the rustle of trees, in a bird's song, in something that falls in your cupped hands, like the poem said. Watch for a response, then in the ceremony, and also later on, in your dreams, in your thoughts, in your imagination. So welcome personal ceremony when you need to say something, speak something that needs to be witnessed.
Mm-hmm. And these are just few practices on what to do. Maybe another practice that is ongoing anyway is to keep on reading soul poetry and keep on writing soul poetry. And I'm saying that because we have another poem. You see, we love poem and we feel, we know that soul speaks the language of poetry, many languages, but one of them is poetry. So keep losing your mind, losing yourself in poetry. And here is a poem that we want to end with. It's by Hafiz and it's called, "We have not come here to take prisoners." We have not come here to take prisoners, but to surrender even more deeply to freedom and joy. We have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. Run, my dear, from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Run like hell, my dear, from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your beautiful heart. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience of our house and shout to our reason, oh please, come out and play. For we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. It comes again. We have not come here on this earth to take prisoners, but to surrender even more deeply to freedom and joy. We have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. No, the opposite. Run, my dear, run away from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Run like hell, my dear, from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your beautiful heart. Run like hell from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your beautiful heart or soul. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience of our house and shout to our reason to be, oh please, come out and play. Oh, dear soul, please come out and play. For we have not come to this world to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits or gifts or soul, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. We have not come here to take prisoners. We have come here to live a soulful, meaningful life. So open your wings, dear ones. Open your wings in trust that you're guided, to soulful living, to soulful living. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Well, the time has come for us to part for this time. May you continue to step on your journey with faith, with fullness, with fierceness, with full love, with curiosity, with creativity. Yeah. May you be on the path and bring yourself back to the path. Don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can do to support you. Yeah, journey well.
Yes, indeed. I echo what Moonlight said, and we have a candle next to us. Moonlight, do you want to lead us to this?
Yeah. So, inviting you to delve deep. Thank you for the gratitude coming through. And may you have that gratitude towards yourselves as well for showing up. Yeah. So, diving deep into the flame, remembering we dedicated this session to the journey of life. Oh, what a holy experience it is to be fully alive. And to the ones who show up on our journey, who are all expressions and gifts of our path. Sending gratitude. And may the fire stay on after we blow this candle. When you're ready, taking a deep breath. And let's close by blowing the candle together.
So much gratitude to you. So much faith in you and trust. We trust you. We know you. We don't know you, but we know you. We kind of know that if you're here, you are on the way and you're guided and you are change makers of your own life and the lives of the others around you. Whether it's visible or not, we know that. We trust that. Much gratitude and blessings on your way. Blessings. You down the road of soul.
Journey well.